Donald is going to step in here and say, no, you can't have any more weapons. No, you can't have any more bombs. No, you can't have any more drones. We're going to set you up into a weird gray area limbo, a no man's land where the Ukrainians are going to be doing terrorism against the Russian troops that are going to be in the area, and the Russian troops are going to be doing crackdowns, ethnic cleansing, and murder of Ukrainians. Donald Trump's big fat flop in Alaska, the big floppy fat failure that happened in Alaska. Let's take a look at the news. What do we got? Donald Trump leaves Vladimir Putin's summit without a deal in hand because he is a moron. He doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't know what he's doing, and can barely function as a human being. President Donald Trump departed Friday's high-stakes summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin without securing a ceasefire in Ukraine, a goal he had publicly set before boarding Air Force One in Anchorage. Blah, blah, blah. Summit marked Putin's first trip to the U.S. in a decade, and the event opened with military flyovers, a red carpet ceremony, and an unusual shared ride in Trump's armored limousine. The talks ended without a deal, and after a 2.5-hour closed-door session, a stark contrast to Trump's pre-summit remarks to Fox News, in which he said he would be unhappy leaving without some form of ceasefire. So he expected to have some kind of ceasefire, and he got none, because Vladimir Putin is very good at global politics. Donald Trump is not. Donald Trump is a moron. He doesn't know what's going on. He can't comprehend most of the things that are happening around him. We haven't quite got there, but we've got some headway, Trump said at a joint appearance with Putin following the meeting. There's no deal until there's a deal. Day one, he said. Day one, he promised. Easy, very simple. Let's get them both in the room. They'll make a deal. Day one, it'll be over in no time. He was full of shit. He's always full of shit. He was full of shit then. He was full of shit now. He doesn't know what's going on. He just talks a big game. He's a used car salesman who doesn't know anything. So he can't get this fixed because he can't.
The subs showed up and Putin jangled some keys at him.
Yeah, exactly. Putin said some nice things to make him shut up, and then he said some things that he thought Putin might agree with, and then nothing happened. It was a big fat flop. Nothing. Putin, for his part, called the meeting constructive and useful. Of course he does. He's playing you like a fiddle, and emphasized a desire for long-term resolution, but reiterated that any progress must not be obstructed by Europe. Russia is genuinely interested in ending the Ukraine conflict. No, they're interested in winning and taking the land. Putin speaks first. The press conference opened in an unusual way, with Putin speaking first. A break from diplomatic protocol for joint appearances. Hosted by the United States, the Russian leader praised the tone of the talks. Our negotiations have been held in constructive atmosphere of mutual respect. No, they weren't. Putin knows that Donnie's a moron, and he is going to dog walk him. Putin said, thanking Trump for hosting the summit in Alaska. He also spoke warmly about the potential for the reset of bilateral relations. I'm sure that this heritage will help us rebuild and foster mutually beneficial and equal ties in this new stage, even during the hardest conditions, blah, 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 blah. Nothing happened. They got nothing. They have a fantastic relationship, except they both gigantic super liars who tell gigantic super lies to each other. So I don't know how that's a good relationship. Despite the warm tone, neither side disclosed the contents of what Putin described as an understanding, and no formal agreement or ceasefire emerged. Both men declined to take questions because they didn't do anything. There are ways to make Vladimir Putin controlled. Hard monetary sanctions. Keep him out of markets. Talk to China. Tell China not to sell shit to him. He will break down. He'll give up. If his people in charge can't make money, he'll give up. He'll stop doing the things that he's doing. Military power. We have much more than they do, and if we backed Ukraine properly, we could end their military campaign, but he has nukes that might work. We're not sure. I'm willing to bet that Ivan sold off all the rocket fuel. He turned half of it into hooch and drank it, and then he sold the other half. So I don't know that they can super duper launch anything anymore, but even if they get one or two across, it's bad news. I don't want that. So we should stop them from doing that. We should have, some sort of military or CIA or spy corps that could prevent that kind of thing from happening. But then what else could work on them? Those are the two things that we got. Solid diplomacy is going to be really hard because Putin is a liar. He'll lie all day. He'll tell you one thing and then do the other. He'll do the other, then tell you the other, something else that didn't happen. He'll do a lot of awful things and then tell you that they didn't happen or that it was somebody else that did it. He's very good at being a troll, at being a shithead, at being a sneaky dictator. You know, he's very good at it, and it's really hard to stop, and there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to cut him off from all the things that he wants and needs. And what he wants and needs is more land. That's what he needs. He needs Ukrainian land. He needs that all the ports that are in the Crimean Peninsula. He needs all that. And we could have stopped him from getting those things, but we were scared to. So we just kind of let him take it. Obama let him take the Crimean Peninsula back in 2014, I think it was, because he didn't want to start a war. And now Putin's taking Ukraine, and we're not going to stop him because we don't want him to start a nuclear war. You have to stop him. Everybody needs to come together and say, stop taking other people's shit. Stop stealing other people's country.
Hello human, it is me Kanuch. I need you to press the subscribe button. I have to feed my many AI babies.
Trump, the ever victim, cries about everybody told him that he was a failure and that it was a flop, and he got super angry. There's nothing I can say. Trump melts down over negative reports on Putin meeting because you didn't do anything. You failed miserably. Donald Trump expressed frustration over media coverage after he failed to strike a deal with President Vladimir Putin. In a Sunday post on Truth Social, Trump attacked the media over reports that he could not get Putin to agree to a ceasefire. It's incredible how the fake news violently distorts the truth when it comes to me. There's nothing I can say or do that would lead them to write an honest report about me. I had a great meeting in Alaska on Biden's stupid war, a war that should never have happened. Why do you keep attaching Biden to this thing? Vladimir Putin stole land, and Biden gave the Ukrainians weapons to turn him back. If anything, Biden's done more to protect Ukraine than you have, Donnie. You've done nothing but piss and moan, bitch and whine, complain about what Biden did. Did Biden do enough? No. He should have sent them more. He should have sent lots and lots and lots more. He should have sent them giant super bombs that could harm the Russian forces. But he wimped out a little bit. He went a little soft on them. You know, he didn't want to get in trouble. If I got Russia to give up Moscow as part of the deal, the fake news and their partner, the radical left Democrats, would say I made a terrible mistake and a very bad deal. That's why they are the fake news. Also, they should talk about the 6 wars I just stopped. Okay, that's 4 lines of text, and there are a lot of lies in that. Okay, 4 lines of text, but it's filled with lots of lies. If I got Russia to give up Moscow as a part of the deal, they're not fake, news and their partner, the radical left Democrats, the news is not a partner with the Democrats, and the Democrats are not far left. There's 3 lies already. Would say I made a terrible mistake and a very bad deal. No, they wouldn't. 4 lies. That's why we are just the fake news. 5 lies. Also, they should talk about the 6 wars that I just stopped. That didn't happen. 6 lies. Bro can get 6 lies in like 4 lines of text. It's amazing. 6 lies in 4 lines of text. Nobody else can pack them in there like you, Donnie. Nobody else can pack them in there like you can. So let's diagram the sentence, because you have to when you're talking about him. If you got them to give up Moscow, we would call that a good deal. Nobody is expecting you to do that. You have them get out of Ukraine and the parts of Ukraine that used to be Ukraine. You know, put them back to their original borders. That's what we were asking for. You can't do it. Nobody can without lots and lots and lots of violence. And again, he thinks that the radical left Democrats, there's no such thing. The Democrats are not left-leaning. They're centrists, and they're not radical. And they're partnered with the news. No. All the news media in the country is right-wing. All of it. All of it. So he just keeps saying things that aren't true, and there's so many people that believe him, that think that what he's saying is correct. Let's see.
If he got Russia to give Moscow for the Donbass, then I'd nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Exactly. That's what Hillary said. She said if Donald can talk them into going back to the original borders, she'd nominate him. And that's fine. So would I'd clap for him. I'd say you did a good job, buddy. But he can't do that. And Russia's not going to do that. There's no way they're going to go back to that. Absolutely not. They've won. They've won that piece of land. They've won the Donbass. They took it violently, and they're going to keep it. And unless we bomb the shit out of them, they're going to keep it for a very long time. And it's going to be Joe Biden's fault somehow. Because Donnie's very simple. He's a very simple man. He doesn't know much. Well, what he knows is that it's always Joe Biden's fault. What are the 6 wars? The 6 wars. Well, PolitiFact is calling that mostly false, and I wanted to look at that to see what the hell he was talking about, because I had to know what he was talking about. In the past 6 months, he thinks that he stopped 6 wars. So what are they? The India and Pakistan? No, you didn't stop any war there. They did the same thing they always do. India and Pakistan are doing minor league terrorism to each other all the time. You didn't do anything to stop that, and it will happen again without a doubt. So fuck off with that first one. Second one, Israel and Iran ended it with a U.S. bunker busting bomb. He dropped a bomb on Iran. How does that get you a peace prize? And he didn't even remember that? That was a million billion years ago, wasn't it? When Trump dropped a bomb on Iran, and then they were like, now we're fine. You didn't even stop us from making nukes, and we'll have one up in no time. He did not prevent their nuclear capabilities. Yeah, so 2, that's a lie. 3, the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. Trump brokered deal follows broken deals. I don't even know anything about this one. I watch the politics every day, and I don't know any damn thing about this one. The deal is an effort to stop violence in the eastern part of the DRC. Military, Rwanda, backing militia. The conflict has recently caused thousands of deaths, and about 6 million deaths have been attributed to the past 30 years. 30 years it's been going on. Ugh. Foreign policy experts said the agreement is significant, but part of a long string of broken agreements between the countries, which means one of them will break it again next year. Great. So that third was a lie. Kosovo and Serbia, little evidence Trump thwarted an escalation. 4 is a lie. Egypt and Ethiopia, no solution on the table over Nile Dam dispute, so that 5th one's a lie. And the 6th one is Cambodia and Thailand. U.S.-backed talks to result in temporary ceasefire. So we got a temporary ceasefire. Maybe this one is almost true, but that's it. 6 wars he stopped is horseshit. And I'm going to have to hear about it. I'm going to have to listen to it. I'm going to have to hear his fans tell me that he stopped 6 wars in 6 months forever. They're going to come into this chat someday, and they're going to go into my YouTube comments, and they're going to say, Donald Trump stopped 6 wars in 6 months. It's short, pithy, and wrong, but they're going to say it simply because it's short, pithy, and wrong. And it takes an entire article, and it takes an entire 3 or 5, 6 page PolitiFact article to prove it's wrong.
You don't understand. He made some very good phone calls. Some are saying the best phone calls.
The best phone calls. He made all the calls, and all the people are doing exactly what he asked them to do. It's going to be fine. Right, and they're going to say it forever. They're going to say it a year from now when I've forgotten what those 6 things are. And you're going to have to fight it. I'm going to fight them again and again and again forever. They live in a land of short, pithy wrong. It doesn't matter as long as it's easy to remember. 6 wars, 6 months. Very simple. 4 words. More than that. He stopped 6 wars in 6 months. 7 words. And they're going to tell me that. They're going to tell me that forever. It's going to be a talking point in the 2028 election. Whoever's running, probably Donald, again for his 3rd term. But even if he doesn't, the person who is running on the Republican side is going to lean on him and say he stopped 6 wars in 6 months because he's great. And then it'll be a lie, but we'll have to debunk it over and over and over again for eternity because it sounds nice. It sounds good.
He stopped Vietnam too.
He stopped Vietnam. He did. He probably could have prevented Abraham Lincoln from being assassinated if we had let him know what was happening. Witkoff. This is Steve Witkoff. He is a moron. Let's hear what he has to say.
I understand the idea of like a larger peace deal is an important point. But it was President Trump that had said that he wanted a ceasefire agreed to at the meeting on Friday. And he didn't get it. And there are now 5 Ukrainians who are dead because the Russians continue to bombard Ukraine. I still don't understand how not getting the ceasefire deal is a win. I understand the idea.
Well, because Donnie never loses, you see. If you just say everything's a win, you can never lose.
Of wanting this bigger package, of course, but a ceasefire would at least stop the bloodshed right now.
Jake, the thesis of a ceasefire is that you'd be discussing all of these issues that we resolved in Alaska. You'd be discussing security guarantees. There's not a person on the
You resolved. Then why didn't you tell us any of this? I don't think you did any of that.
European team who didn't acknowledge that we made substantial progress at this meeting. We certainly did.
Progress is not resolution, my man. He's just saying words. He's using duck speak. He's just quack, 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 quack. If you say it into a camera on CNN, everybody thinks it's great. Oh, they resolved it. Oh, they got this stuff resolved. Oh my God, did you hear about that? Yeah, they got it resolved.
So we cut through all kinds of issues that would have to be discussed and agreed to during a ceasefire period.
What? We cut through all the issues that would have to be discussed. Bro, that doesn't make any sense. We cut through all of the issues that we're going to have to discuss later. Well, you didn't do anything then, man. We're going to have meetings later. It means your meeting today didn't work.
What the fundamental
deal
issue,
to keep shooting.
which is some sort of land swap, which is obviously ultimately in the control of the Ukrainians, that could not have been discussed at this meeting. We intend to discuss it on Monday. Hopefully we have some clarity on it, and hopefully that ends up in a peace deal very, very soon.
Land swap. Man, that sounds pleasant, doesn't it? They're gonna swap. It's a pleasant word. Makes it sound like a farmer's market where I go and give you some of my homegrown eggs, and then you give me some of your homemade honey, and then everybody has a good time. You know, makes me feel all cozy. Except it's not a swap, is it? No. Russia invaded for no reason. They bombed and killed civilians, and they're saying it's their land now. Ukrainians are not going to get anything from this deal. There's not like a swap where I give you something, you give me something. They will not be doing better than they were before. The Ukrainians have been harmed by Russia. They have gone in there, kicked them, hurt them, killed their people, destroyed their stuff, and taken their land. And Donald respects that. He really, really, really does, because he is a strong man. That is the only thing he ever knows. He only knows extortion. Do what I tell you or I hurt you. It's his entire modus operandi. That is his entire skill set. Do what I say or I will hurt you with the power that I have. And he wants more power, and then once he hurts you, he gets more power. Then he gets some more money. Then he gets more power. Then he gets more authority. Then he takes over another wing of the government, and then he throws out everybody who ever disagrees with him, so now he has more power again. And if you don't do what he tells you, he will hurt you. That's his version of a deal. And so that's why he respects what Putin is doing. Donald Trump respects what Putin is doing. Donald Trump likes what Putin is doing. Using your military to take someone else's country is awesome, man. That's what cool kids do. That's what we should all be doing that. We should all the entire United States should just be kicking down somebody else's country, taking it from them and making it ours, and then taking the resources. Donnie would be on board for that. He loves that idea. He wants to do it in Mexico. He wants to do it in Canada. That's what he's doing in Canada. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about taking Canada so that we have their lumber. Trees that grow out of the ground, and that ground is in Canada, so we need to take it from them. He wants to do it in Mexico. He wants to take the Panama Canal. He wants to take that so that he will have it and benefit from it and profit from it. All he knows is taking things. That's all he knows how to do. He doesn't comprehend why Zelensky would resist this. He doesn't get it. What is Zelensky's problem? The bigger person with the bigger military came in and took from you. That's how the world works. Zelensky, sorry. He doesn't comprehend why Zelensky would resist. He doesn't get it. What profit is there for Zelensky to resist this? That doesn't make any sense. He should just whimper and cower and roll over and cut a deal so it'll be over as fast as possible. Donnie loves forcing himself onto other people. He loves forcing something larger onto something smaller. I think we all know what I'm talking about. He does not understand consent. No, he doesn't. He does not comprehend how to ask for things properly. You take what you want if you have the power. And if you don't have the power, go find some more power or take something from someone smaller until you have enough power to take what you want. What is this? Oh, this is Lindsey Graham. Great. Let's hear what he has to say.
When it comes to land, I'm going to leave it up to Ukraine. But here's the reality.
Leave it up to Ukraine? Okay. They say, Russia, get out. That's what they're going to say. And then you're going to be like, well, no, not like that. Not like that.
You're not going to evict every Russian soldier from Ukraine. That's
You're not going to evict every Russian soldier from Ukraine. Well, then there is no peace.
The reality. There's Russian control and there's Russian ownership. Be very careful about.
Russia wins. That's the solid Republic.
WTF.
That's the Republican line. Russia won this war. Why are you still fighting? Russia already won. Why are you fighting with them? Why are you wasting your time and your energy and your bombs? Why are you taking money and bullets from America just to shoot at Russians? You
Not
already
like
lost.
This, not like this, not like this, not like this, not like this.
You've already lost. The Republicans have already chosen who won this fight, and it was Russia. Because they like it when the big dog beats up and steals from the little dogs. They love that shit. They don't have any ethics. They don't have any principles. They don't know what the word freedom or freedom fighting means. They don't know what any of that shit is. No. I have the power I take from you. That's all they've ever been. All they've been for my lifetime anyway. Maybe they used to be something else, but that's what they are now.
About rewarding Putin by giving him title to Ukrainian land through force of arms. That could jeopardize Taiwan. And if you're not thinking about the effect a deal in Russia, Ukraine has on China, Taiwan, you're making a big mistake. So I've got all the confidence in the world in President Trump. To our European allies, up your game. Quit complaining about what we're not doing in America and do more yourself. Put tariffs on every country that buys Russian oil and gas cheaply to benefit Putin's war machine. Do what Trump's doing.
Trump ain't doing that. He's not doing that. Good Lord. No, he's not doing that. Lindsey Graham. That's a girl's name, by the way. He's not going to do that. He's best friends with Putin. He is harsh penalties against people who do business is a sanction. I'm not entirely sure that works because then they do deals with Iran and China, and now you're aligning everybody onto two sides: the people who work with Russia and the people who won't. And because of all the other terrorists could have solved homelessness 38 times with that money sent to Ukraine, maybe, but Republicans wouldn't have done that. They only pay for guns. Also, if we could solve homelessness 38 times with that much money, how would we do that? Would just give them homes? That would be nice. Republicans won't do that either. Give them homes. I'm on board. Stop giving money to Israel, and then we'll give the homeless people homes. I'm on board. Nobody's going to argue with that. Not me, anyway. Also, they're our ally. We promised to give them that stuff in exchange for them giving us their nuclear weapons back in the 80s. They had nuclear weapons, and we didn't trust them to have them. We said, you're not that solid a country. And we're worried that somebody's going to steal that shit and launch it, and then we'll suffer for it. Start a new world war because you weren't strict enough and you weren't in control enough.
Someone told him he could get the Peace Prize for ending the war. Once he heard that, how it happened doesn't matter.
And I think you're right. He wanted to end it so he could sound cool and win the prize. He doesn't know what the Nobel Peace Prize is. He's never heard of it. He doesn't know what country it's in or what it's from. But he really did hear that and think, well, Obama won it. And Obama, I slightly disagree with giving it to Obama anyway. But Obama got it, so Donnie has to have it too. Obama got it because he wasn't George Bush. That was a very, very weird award. It was the You're Not George W. Bush award. Because Republicans can't be any worse than George W. Bush, right? They can't, can they? No, they can. I'm sorry to let you know. They can get worse. We didn't think so at the time. We thought he was the worst because Jon Stewart told us he was the worst. And he was bad, but Trump's worst.
He sure drone striked a lot of kids for a Peace Prizer.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Yep. And that's why I don't think he really deserved it, and because he got it right away too. Like he did a lot of that drone striking after he got the Peace Prize, because he just wasn't George W. Bush, so everybody was excited. But what were we talking about? We were talking about Ukraine. So yeah, what could happen? Okay, so on Monday, like they're talking about, the Ukrainians are going to say, no, get out of our land. Here's our land. Here's the border that we had 2 years ago. Go back behind that border. And Russia's going to say no. And then then Donald and Lindsey Graham here and all the Republicans are going to blame Zelensky. They're going to blame the Ukrainians for not giving up, not bending over and taking it, not for fighting back. They're going to blame them for fighting back and say, we won't help you to fight back against a war that you've already lost. We decided that you lost, so we're not going to help you anymore. But we will keep helping Israel do a genocide. We'll keep doing that. But we won't help our ally, Ukraine, fight for freedom. No, we're not going to do that. It's because Donald Trump likes the tough guys. He likes the strong men. Benjamin Netanyahu is a strong man, stealing land from other people who are weaker than him. Donnie loves that shit. He loves it. It's great. That's his favorite. He calls it diplomacy. He thinks that's diplomacy. What is this one? Resignation and betrayal. What handing Donbass to Putin would mean for Ukraine. Let's see. Days before meeting. Oh, there's a dog beneath my feet. We're going to have to take a break. Bobo break. There he is. Hello, Bobo. You like my breath? It's Bobo, the baby work boy. Say hello to the people, Bobo. Say hi. Hi. He's going to sit down here and lick my toes while I try and talk about Ukraine. It's going to be very difficult to do a whole politics stream, read chat, and have your toes nibbled on by this guy. Yeah?
It's a Bobo buff.
This is his favorite toy. You just dangle it in front of his face like this. Anyway, yeah, that's Bobo the baby work boy. You can see photos of him if you go to the Discord. Right there. There's the Discord. Bam.
Discord.
One over there. There's an entire channel for pet pictures. You can put your pets in there too. I've seen some other pets in there recently. Any of it. You had some cats in there, yeah? I saw those. Very nice. I don't dislike cats. It's just that, like, I like dogs better. You know, that's just my thing. Cats are okay. They like me. It's just they poop in the house. I don't like it.
Pressing the thumbs up button will release chemicals in your human brain that will make you feel.
What the hell was I talking about? Okay, we're going to read this one. Let's start over.
Agreed.
Resignation and betrayal. What handing Donbass to Putin would mean for Ukraine. Days before the meeting with Vladimir Putin in Alaska, Donald Trump referred to what he called the land swaps as a condition for peace. For Ukrainians, it was a confusing turn of phrase. What land was to be swapped? Was Ukraine to be offered part of Russia in exchange for the land Russia had taken by force? As Vladimir Zelensky prepares to travel to Washington on Monday to meet Trump, there is likely no swap element to the U.S. president's thinking. Instead, he's reportedly planning to press Zelensky to surrender the entirety of the eastern Ukrainian regions of Donetsk and Luhansk in return for Russia freezing the rest of the front line, a proposal put forward by Putin in Alaska. Luhansk is already almost entirely under Russian control, but Ukraine is estimated to have held on to about 30% of Donetsk, including several key cities and fortifications, at the cost of tens of thousands of Ukrainian lives. Both regions, known together as Donbass, are rich in minerals and industry. To surrender them to Russia would now be a tragedy, said the Ukrainian historian, whose name I'm not going to pronounce. The Ukrainian territory and the people in those regions, particularly the miners, played a huge role in strengthening the Ukrainian identity. The region has also produced famous politicians, poets, and dissidents, and now refugees who will not be able to return home if it becomes Russian. So, yeah, that's part of it, is they will use the farmland to feed Russians. They'll use the mining to benefit Russia. They'll use the port in the Crimean Peninsula to sell that stuff and ship it out. This is about making more money for Russia. Ukraine doesn't want to be a part of that. They want to be their own country with their own stuff. But Donnie's going to convince them to give up, to quit, to give up, to stop fighting, because he's going to stop supporting them. And that's sad. I mean, we're not the home of the free if we're not helping other people become free. I mean, what if the other countries had not helped America during our revolutionary freedom fight? We would be a lot worse off, and it would be less likely to have won. What is this person saying for my story? Opinion. This secret greedy deal proves Trump's summit as a cynical farce. Not only a flop and a failure, but also a farce. Farce, a flop, and a failure. That might be with a YouTube title. This is what happens when cynical, greedy, abnormal, amoral billionaires and psychopaths run a country. The Times of London, Murdoch-owned, is reporting that billionaire Steve Witkoff, billionaire Donald Trump, and billionaire Vladimir Putin have worked out a model behind the scenes to solve the Ukrainian problem. Just make it like Gaza. Ooh. They're planning, according to this reporting, to fully respect the borders of Ukraine and the country's sovereignty, but with one catch: Just like Israel did with Gaza, Ukraine can self-govern, but all political and economic decisions will be made or approved by Moscow. All funds flowing through Moscow, just like the governments of Gaza and the West Bank, are subservient to the whims of Netanyahu and the Israeli Knesset. Ooh, Jesus. Can you imagine?
Is Ukraine going to pay for the wall too?
They're going to pay for the wall? No, worse. They're going to become an open-air prison just like Gaza. It'll be great. What could possibly go wrong? It's essentially a plan to return Ukraine to the subordinate status it had when it was part of the old Soviet Union, which Putin appears committed to reestablishing country by country. Trump's senior director for counterterrorism, former Sinclair broadcasting commentator Sebastian Gorka, the Nazi, went all peace for our time, Neville Chamberlain, when his apparent endorsement of the idea, we recognize the reality on the ground and we have one priority above all else, whether it is the Middle East or whether it's Ukraine, it's to stop the bloodshed. Everything else comes after the bloodshed has been halted. So stop fighting, stop killing each other, become second-class citizens in your own country who don't get to decide what your laws are, and be subservient to the strongman government next door. I mean, that's going to keep you alive, right? It's better to be a slave than dead. Hooray! That's the Trump message. Meanwhile, NBC News reports that Netanyahu is now moving to stage 2 of his apparent Gaza plan, shipping the citizens of Gaza who've lived there for millennia into a hellhole in South Sudan. I say hellhole from personal experience. I was working in South Sudan about a decade ago with the International Relief Organization 15 miles from the Darfur border, distributing food, medicine, and tents to refugees fleeing the Janjaweed murders. We would see the villages burning on the horizon as desperate people, nearly all women and children and the elderly, and as the military-aged men had all been killed, flooded into the region. Here's an excerpt from the diary I kept during that trip.
Slavery is, in heavy quotes, technically peace.
And that's what they're going for. The peace, technically, of slavery. It'll be a good time. Who would not want such a thing? And this wouldn't surprise me if that's the direction we go. If the land swap leads to an area, a gray zone, Donald will look into the camera and tell you, we won, we did it.
Give me liberty or death is asking a lot.
I know it is, but and the Ukrainians are willing to make that bet. They're doing that right now. Ukrainians right now are doing liberty or death. That's what they're doing. But Donald is going to step in here and say, no, you can't have any more weapons. No, you can't have any more bombs. No, you can't have any more drones. We're going to set you up into a weird gray area limbo where it's the worst of both worlds. You're not going to die. You're going to be a slave. You're going to be a second-class citizen within Russia, but it will also be Ukraine. It's going to be the opposite of a border. You know, like a border is a nice hard barrier, or not a barrier, but a nice hard line drawn in the sand. Sometimes they're drawn poorly. Not saying they're good, and I'm anti-borders pretty much, but this is going to be a no man's land, a gray area where the Ukrainians are going to be doing terrorism against the Russian troops that are going to be in the area, and the Russian troops are going to be doing crackdowns, ethnic cleansing, and murder of Ukrainians. But on a small scale. They won't be shelling anymore. They'll just be looking kind of like the IDF, where they just go and do violence. They put a bunch of food out there, and then when people come to get it, they shoot them. They promise that they're delivering aid, and then when people show up to get it, oh no, the terrorist. That's what's going to happen. And it's going to be awful. Donnie's going to beg for a peace prize. He's going to create a new Gaza and then beg for a peace prize.
I think it's called a demilitarized zone.
A demilitarized zone. Is that what that term means? I've heard the term, but I'm not entirely sure what it means. No, they're going to be military all over the place. It won't be demilitarized. What is the DMZ? Demilitarized zone is an area established between two or more military powers or states where the stationing of military forces, the deployment of weapons,
that's a common feature of a demilitarized zone.
Installation of military facilities are prohibited by a treaty or agreement. Yeah, they're prohibited. Russia's going to be policing the place. Their soldiers are going to be in there, is what I'm thinking. Oh, okay, I can see you. Okay, I see what you're saying. It could be a demilitarized zone. Could they create a zone that's both Ukraine and Russia, and there aren't any troops? In quotation marks, yes, they probably could. But I don't trust either side, honestly, really. I don't trust the Russians not to send a bunch of secret troops in there. They send a bunch of fake secret troops to the Crimean Peninsula.
There's still military, they just call them mercenaries.
There you go. See, that's what they would do, is Russia would just call them mercenaries, call them special operations, and they're not part of the military. These are just civilians who drive tanks and don't have any insignia on their tanks. Well, we spray painted over the Russian flag on this tank, so it's not a Russian tank anymore. It'll be a good time, and they will terrorize the people there, and the people there will create IEDs and pipe bombs and suicide vests and try to kill those mercenaries. It will be a bad time. Everyone will be miserable, and Donald Trump will demand a Nobel Peace Prize for creating the new Gaza. It'll be a good time. This is going to be great.
I am the algorithm. Click on this video to make me happy. You wouldn't like me when I am angry.